Hi, I'm Andrew, and today I'm going to show you the secret hiding in this bookcase. A couple books from the thrift store for a couple cents a piece is what I'll need to start this project, but I don't need the dust covers, so let's get rid of those. Then I just did the table saw fence about an inch away from the blade and began ripping off the spines of these books. You'll see how it looks in just a second. This last book I wanted to make sure I kept the front cover on, and I'll show you why I did that coming up. Then I stacked up all the books to try to get a measurement to figure out how wide the front of the box needed to be. Then it's time to begin cutting up all of the half-inch plywood that I'll use to build the box. Here I just took the spine of the shortest book and used it to set the table saw fence. Again, I'm working my way through getting the pieces cut for building the box. Once I put all the pieces together to figure out exactly how it went together, I used a Sharpie to mark where I would need to drill holes on the outside panels. Then I used it to kind of firm up my line and show exactly how much space I had right there at the end of the board. This is where I learned probably my biggest lesson from this project. I see a lot of guys when they're building boxes or frames like this, they tack it together first with an air nailer, and I understand now why they do that. I tried to use a couple clamps just to hold them together, figuring I could pretty easily screw some drywall screws into the side of it, but it wound up being a real pain to try to hold those steady with clamps. A couple tacks from an air nailer would have made it a lot simpler. And that's how it'll go together and open and close right on the face there. I sanded it down just roughly with some 80 grit paper. I'll spare you all the details on that and move on to the next step. I used a cardboard box to make an impromptu paint booth. The weather wasn't great outside, so I needed to paint inside, and I didn't want the overspray to get everywhere. I used flat black spray paint. What I'm looking for here is something to help disguise this when it's sitting on the shelf. I cut some mortises for the hinges so they would sit flush. This was kind of a pain.
Like I said, you've got the three of us that are going to support you and a million other people out there that we all know. So
yeah, nail 3 or 4 boards together and call it a remote holder and be proud of yourself for it and feel that feeling, because when you feel it, you're going to want to do it again. And you're going to want to do it again. And I watched that with that's part of the Advanced Maker series too. One, I'm doing with my son and teaching him that, but I'm also kind of trying to show adults that and remind adults that too, of how magical and exciting it is to be able to create things with your hands. It's really what separates us from the rest of the animal world.
right.
I raise a glass to 2016, and I hope that you all join me in doing so. I look forward to an incredible year with all of you, with both of you specifically, Tim and Bill, but with all of you makers at large.
The screws were a little too long for the 1/2-inch plywood I was using, so I trimmed those up with an angle grinder. The next set of hinge mortises I used my router for, and it was much simpler. Here's why I kept that one flap on the one book long. I want to use it to disguise the hinges and the side of the box. My plan is to put the other side up against the inside wall of a bookshelf so you'll never see that other side. This side, though, might stick out a little bit. Little hot glue to put all the book spines on the box, and this thing will be just about done. I'm really happy with how this project turned out. One of the things you could do differently, you could measure this to fit a particular bookshelf, then cut everything just the right size. I think it also would be cool to have the shelf flip down and maybe turn it into a bar. If you like this project, do me a favor, share it with somebody. If you make something like it, share it with me. Don't be afraid to come up with your own idea, pick up some tools, and try to do something new. I really believe makers help make more makers. And if this is your first time here, take the time to subscribe. Check out some of my other project videos on my page. I try to put up a new project video about once a week. Thanks for watching.